The rank option allows you to compare records across the database. Select rank from the top menu, and you can choose from either borrowers, books, authors, or libraries, depending on what you are looking for. In this example, we're going to look at borrowers. By default, borrowers are ranked by the number of borrowing records, from highest to lowest. This figure tells us the number of times that an agent or person has borrowed a book. By clicking on the column, we can also reverse the table to see who the least active borrowers were. Note that this table only shows library members who are known to have borrowed at least one book. There are lots of people in the database who are not included here, usually because they were members of libraries for which borrowing records do not survive. You can find lists of these members in other parts of the website. Some library members listed here borrowed the same books over and over again, so reordering the table according to distinct books borrowed can show us who borrowed the largest number of different titles. All of this data is exportable using the links above, and you can export the data in your preferred format to manipulate offline. You can export the data wherever you see these options within the database. You can also use the custom search builder to filter out results before you download them. This is especially useful if the data is quite large. Let's say I only want to look at books which were borrowed by merchants. I first click on Add Condition, and from the drop-down options, I select Standard Occupation. Then the command Contains, and then I type Merchant into the free text box. You can see at the bottom of the page that this has reduced the number of records from 1,791 down to 131. Selecting the X or Clear All to the right of the screen will remove custom filters, so you can start again. You can use different types of condition in the custom search builder, but note that if you use equals, this will only give you people who have that single occupation or unique combination of occupations. As you will see as you navigate the data, some library members had multiple occupations. We've standardized library members' occupations and grouped them into broad occupational areas. If you'd like to read more about these so that you can use them in your search, please refer to the glossary and data manual located under Getting Started. The same principles work for the other rank options. Selecting the option to rank books allows us to compare the number of times that they were borrowed. The book which was borrowed the most number of times was the London Magazine. But because some borrowers took out the same book multiple times, you can also see the number of unique readers who borrowed each book. The Works of Henry Fielding was actually the book that was borrowed by the highest number of unique borrowers. This is particularly useful because many 18th century books were published in multi-volume sets. The London Magazine at the top of the previous list was published annually, and a popular book like Hume's History was published in 6, 8, or 12-volume sets. Whereas John Moore's novel Zerluko, Various Views of Human Nature, listed at number 7 on the unique borrowers list, was published in only 2 volumes. The database only holds borrowing records for the very small number of libraries for which such records survives. We have catalogue records for a much larger number of libraries, so you can also use this table to compare which books were held in the most libraries. From this example, you can see that Robertson's Charles V was the most widely held book, and that it was held by 46 of the libraries we have uploaded so far. In contrast, if we sort the data again by times borrowed, we notice now that even though the London Magazine was borrowed most frequently, it was actually held by only 3 of the libraries in our collection. Selecting the option to rank authors allows us to identify which authors' works were the most popular with borrowers and which authors' works were held in the most libraries across the Atlantic. As you can see, the top 10 authors according to the number of books held here were very different to the top 10 authors whose books were actually borrowed. Sorting the data according to books borrowed, as we've done here, reveals the popularity of female authors such as Charlotte Turner Smith and Fanny Burney. Finally, by selecting the option to rank libraries, we can compare vital statistics for each institution. You can use this table to arrange libraries by collection size, date of founding, number of members, dates of printed catalogues, geographic location, and the number of known borrowings, or as we've termed it here, borrowing events. Again, you can use the custom search builder to filter libraries according to their geographic location, whether they still survive, or their foundation date. For instance, if I wanted to identify all the libraries in our collection that we know were founded in colonial America before the Declaration of Independence in 1776, I first add condition. From the drop-down options, I select foundation date, then the command less than, and type 1776 into the free text box. As you can see, some of the hits on this table are not in the United States. So we need to add a second condition. So we go to add condition. This time we want sovereign territory equals United States. Now the table gives us all of the libraries that were founded in colonial America before the Declaration of Independence in 1776. And we can follow through the links to find out more about each of these libraries. This table can also be used to understand how many libraries we have included in 18th century libraries online. Although the database already includes well over 90% of surviving borrowing records from this period and a significant majority of the surviving book catalogues, there will always be more to do. Where you see a dash in this table, that may mean that we have additional data still to upload. You will find full details of what is already included in the database, as well as our schedule of planned updates, on the What's New page under the About tab, which will also provide guidance on which version to cite if you want to use this database in research, exhibitions, or student projects.